Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, it's my pleasure and privilege to be participating in the DigiTech Conclave 2021. I have had a long journey of 30 years in the digital path and saw the evolution of the whole e-governance and digital governance during the last 3 decades. Let me mention at this point of time about the few very interesting and exciting developments that are taking place in the space of digital transformation and digital governments in India, especially in the last few years. First of all, we have set a very high aspiration level for the digital economy at $1 trillion by 2025, out of which $500 billion is arising out of data economy. So this is a lofty target for which we need to really have a very good set of strategies to make it happen. The second trend that I see is that we are moving from systems to ecosystems. Previously, our thinking was about systems. How do you design a system? Now, we need to think larger, bigger in terms of the ecosystems, whether they are ecosystems of healthcare, ecosystems of social protection, ecosystems of education, or agriculture. So, while the internet allows us to transact anytime, anywhere, in an ecosystem approach, what is sought to be achieved is that the boundaries of various organizations, that is between public and private, central or state government, they get blurred. So that is the concept of ecosystem. It works in unison with the single aim and vision of enhancing the user experience. It's ultimately the user, the citizen, who is in mind for everyone. We have to help that citizen in a totally different way. So from systems to ecosystems is one more trend that's happening today. And part of that is the initiative of the Ministry of IT and Electronics on open digital ecosystems or public digital platforms. They're encouraging and promoting in a big way. The third trend is innovation in all the key sectors. Innovation is happening in a big way. We have upwards of 10,000 startups in this country who are working in wide-ranging areas like health, education, agriculture, e-commerce. And the fourth trend is the uprise of emerging technologies. In all these innovations, are made possible because of these emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, blockchain, drones, geospatial data, and so on. And the last trend that we see in the last few years is about the accent and the emphasis, and for right reasons, on data protection and privacy. At the end of the day, we may have excellent digital services, but if it is causing a concern to the citizens in terms of what's going to happen to my privacy, and it's not good for the society as a whole. So we need to balance the need to innovate and advance in technology while protecting the privacy and the personal information of the citizens. So having mentioned about these emerging trends in the digital space in India today, let me touch upon three specific topics. Namely, what is the kind of impact that COVID has made? Secondly, what should we do about digital literacy in this country? And third and finally, what is the World Economic Forum doing in India? I happen to be the chief advisor to the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is a part of the World Economic Forum. Now, let me start with my views on the impact of COVID-19. I think it has done immense damage, not only to India, but the whole globe. We are still not able to come out of this pandemic, despite all best efforts and so on. But looking at it from a narrow perspective of the digital space, I think the COVID has fast forwarded, pushed the fast forward button several times in the last 2 years. So there is a digital culture which is enforced, imposed on us, so to say, as a population, as a country. I will give a single statistics, single number to justify this. Before COVID, we used to have 3 crore Aadhaar authentications per day. That means 3 crore people in this country were using every day. They were using the Aadhaar authentication. As a ex-chairman of Aadhaar, I can say that it is a great asset to the country because post-COVID now we are witnessing an increase in this. Current going rate is 4 crore Aadhaar authentications per day. Obviously, it shows that people, mostly those in the BPL category, they are taking more to the digital transactions and benefiting thereby. So I can say that Aadhaar has averted a major catastrophe in this country because we're able to do our social protection schemes despite the bad effects, lack of movement, etc., due to the pandemic. So one, you know, benefit out of this is that contactless, cashless, and presenceless services are being delivered today. It is a reality. We are working hard before the COVID to achieve these objectives, which otherwise are good, as a for a better governance. We need all cashless, contactless, and presenceless, frictionless transactions to happen. So it's happening today in a big way. So that is the kind of a silver lining. I will not say COVID is, something good. It's really the worst that has happened to humanity. But from the perspective of digital space, this is what I can say. Let me spend a minute on digital literacy. There is an argument that it's fine. You may have all the best technologies and bring the latest concepts and architectures, etc. But what about the people who are in digitally illiterate? So my kind of thinking on this would be that we have a very good percentage of population of people with mobile phones, and also increasingly the percentage of smartphones is on the increase because it's quite affordable nowadays compared to the past. So if you see that a particular program has a very good value proposition, obviously the beneficiaries of that program, the users of that program, will automatically take to learn whatever is required to make use of that program and that benefit and that service. So it all depends on the value proposition you create. Then obviously people will learn the way to interact digitally in a kind of, like they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And I would say necessity is the mother of digital literacy. So take the example of UPI, which has gone into billions of transactions every day. That means a small kirana shop owner or a vegetable seller today is able to make and receive payments effortlessly in less than 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Who taught them all this technology? No one has gone and taken any classes, capacity building, training, etc. It has spread on its own, and really. Likewise, you see FASTag. There was a bit of resistance from drivers. No, ye bahut mushkil hai. We can't manage all this. But today, FASTag is a fact of life. Likewise, GSTN, small shopkeepers, etc. Small business people, etc. were worried about it initially, but now they are used to it. COVID, see how many people are registering for COVID for the vaccination. These are all necessities, forcing people to become more and more digitally literate. And National Digital Health Mission, National Agriculture Mission, which is Digital Agriculture Mission, which is called IDEA. I happen to be chairing the working groups of the ministries, respective ministries of Government of India, that created all these blueprints. One in healthcare, one in agriculture and other in education. The NDR education, Honorable Prime Minister launched it for public review yesterday, even as recently as yesterday. So these are all attempts, once there is a value proposition, automatically people will force themselves to learn the digital way. I'm not reducing the importance of a proactive intervention on digital literacy. We have to go to the nook and corner of the country, far-flung areas, and conduct special campaigns on digital literacy. But the other way is that if the value is there, automatically it will generate, increase the percentage of digital literacy. Third and last, let me say a few words about what the World Economic Forum is doing in the area of digital transformation in the country. Basically, the mission of the Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is located in Mumbai, in India, which is part of the World Economic Forum, established about 2.5 years ago and launched by the Honorable Prime Minister in October 2019. The mission is to address real world problems and challenges by the responsible deployment of emerging technologies. I'm underlining the word responsible deployment of emerging technologies, because these new technologies are like double-edged swords. A lot of good can happen, but there's a downside that if it is not properly used, there could be some harm as well. So we need to be wary of while we increase the benefits, we mitigate all the risks, we anticipate all the risks, we assess all the risks and address them upfront. Then you have a very good result for these new technologies. So that is what the World Economic Forum globally as well as in India, that is their vision and that's their mission. Now let me give a few actual projects we are facilitating in India. First one is called AI for AI. That means AI, artificial intelligence for agricultural innovation. It's called AI for AI. And the aim is to transform the state of agriculture and enhance the production, productivity, and profitability of the farmer by using technologies in various different ways. The technologies I mentioned before, that artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, blockchain, and drones. We have put together this into a comprehensive framework in India, working with the government of Telangana and the Ministry of Agriculture, government of India, along with 70 members of the industry and startup community, and created a framework which has 9 policy level interventions recommended and 30 ground level use cases. Now, how do you manage the pest in a more efficient manner, for instance, one of those 30 cases? How do you do the sowing at the right time, the right sowing window for a particular crop in a particular district? So these are all possible, through artificial intelligence and satellite imagery, etc. The second project is about in the healthcare space, which is called First Healthcare. And we identified 18 themes covering all major diseases like cardiovascular diseases and kidney dysfunctions, lung cancer, etc. So we have taken up cancer as a first case. How can we improve the cancer care in this country by technological interventions? So we are currently working with a group of oncologists, we meaning as in the forum, and also some public institutions, and creating the blueprint. How do you transform the journey of a cancer patient? And how do you reduce the incidence of cancer? How do you prevent? How do you early detect cancer using technology? So we are at a hectic pace in terms of discussions in this project, and we are targeting 15th of August for releasing of the recommendations, which will go on for implementation in the later part of this year. And the third project is in the area of education, which is called Kindle, or otherwise Knowledge and Information Network for Digital Learning and Education. So this supplements the NDR, National Digital Education Architecture, launched by the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday. And the main components here are foundational and foundational literacy and numeracy, then capacity building among teachers for the new age education. New education policy 2020 raises the bar. So how do you see that the teachers also raise their own standards? That's another area. And skill development. And lastly, connecting the disconnected. How do you be inclusive? How do you improve the inclusivity of the whole program? So we have other projects also, which I'm not mentioning in the time constraint, but they're in the areas of smart cities, data economy, and the use of drones for socially useful activities. So I'm very happy to have been associated with the DigiTech Conclave 2021, and I'm sure that the deliberations that happen during this conference, I see the who is who of the digital space in India figuring in various sessions in this conference. I am sure that this will advance our own understanding of the digital space for the better service of this country. Thank you and all the best.